Welcome to this Sahara 4 exercise. In this exercise, we will discuss unit configuration and how to change by which units all the information in Sahara is displayed. First, we are going to keep working with the same project that we have defined. Here we are going to go to this menu, Edit, and open the window Unit. Here, this window is going to open, and on the left side we can see all the different group of units that are defined for Sahara that are currently being used on the project. We can search for any of them. For example, let's say volume. We can open it here and see all the different possible units where volume can be expressed. For example, currently we are expressing our volumes in this project as 1,000 barrels. We could, for example, express it as a million barrel or just barrels or cubic feet or gallons. Um, we can also modify. Let's keep it at 1,000 barrels. We can also modify the format of how the information is presented. In this case, we are going to just use one decimal, but maybe we prefer scientific notation. For example, let's go to permeability. Here in rock permeability, by default, we are going to use millidarcy, and it's going to be on with just one decimal. But for example, if we are working with non-conventional, where we maybe we have 0.0001 millidarcies, it's better to express this value on scientific notation. Um, by double clicking here, we modify which unit is actually expressed, and if we want to know exactly to which unit we are referring to that is currently being selected, we can check on this box over here on the lower side. This text box is going to show us which unit is being currently selected. This is especially useful in the case of units or group of units where every unit is abbreviated. For example, for decline, we can see that we have all these initials that define different units. We can see exactly to which one we are referring to by using this text box over here on the lower side. Also, we can define alias for the units. Let's do an example, and let's say coordinates. First, something important to consider is that this is going to just change the display of the information. It's not going to actually change any value. All the values are calculated internally in the same units, and then this window is just going to modify in which units the information is displayed. So, for example, let's go to objects, some of the information that we have loaded in this project. Here we have the coordinates x and y that are expressed in meters. Let's say that we want to express them on feet. We will change that by going here, looking for coordinates. This is going to be Cartesian coordinates, and let's change it to feet, and let's include, for example, one decimal, and we're going to use an alias here. What the alias does is modifying how we show or how we express the unit, the tag of the unit. Instead of showing feet, we are going to use cord feet to express that these are feet, but they are related to the coordinates. So let's have it like that. And now let's go to the other window where this information was displayed. And now we see that we have different values because the value itself is the same. The wells haven't moved because the coordinate is the same. It only changed in which unit these coordinates are displayed, and check that instead of just using feet here, we have defined it as coordinate feet. So now we know that these values are expressed in feet and they are related to the coordinates of the wells. We are going to undo this. If for any reason you did some changes in this window and you want to revert to the defaults, Sahara has the option of loading templates. And by default, you have two different templates that are the ones that are associated to field units and metric units. This is going to reset your unit configuration to the one that was by default when you created the project. We were using field units, so we are going to load that and check that now it's back in meters, and is the alias that I created was deleted, and also the format is back to normal without any decimals. So we are going to store that. Also, you can use the restore button if you haven't closed the for example, let's say I did a change over here and I didn't close this window. I can restore it by clicking this button and it's going to go back to normal. Also, two more different things to consider is that we can filter or unfilter the groups in use. In this case, all the groups that are listed here are being used for something in the project, but there are more units, for example, acceleration, acoustic impedance, that are currently not being in use, and we can also modify them if we want before importing any information. Here we can configure, because here something to consider here is that all the units that are displayed here are not necessarily all the units that are relevant for this unit group, but they are the more common. So we can modify them like this. This will be the most common units associated, for example, with caloric value gas volume, and we can consider these as well that are less common, but we can include them in the selection tab. So for example, BTU by barrel, and now it's going to be included with the rest of the units. We can always save our configuration file, the template. This is going, let's call it, okay, we can call it tutorial project as suggested. That's the name of the project. And now we can do any modification here and revert it back to what we have by loading the tutorial project unit configuration file. So that will be all for this tutorial. See you in the next one.